What is a man? A miserable little pile of bullshit!
Dutchman versus Castlevania.
Hello and welcome to Castlevania Season 2. I have said this so many times before, but if you are new here to this channel, I really like Castlevania. It's my favourite non-Nintendo property, okay? I loved Castlevania Season 1. I made a video about Castlevania Season 1, but I was a little bit under the weather, so I don't seem as energetic and as animated as I usually do. Warren Ellis, a prolific writer who has dabbled in a lot of things like comics and novellas, he's written Castlevania, and you know, if you haven't heard of this before, what rock have you been living under? Castlevania Season 1 was received with critical acclaim all across the board, but everybody agreed on the one thing: it's just 4 episodes long and it feels like a prelude, which is what it was. It was just a prelude. They call it Season 1, but it wasn't really Season 1. Season 2 is basically the Castlevania adventure we had been waiting for, and that's not a play on words from Castlevania Adventure. I do apologise. The voice casting is still top notch. I'm not going to pretend as if I remember all the names, but the voice cast got enriched in this season as well. Richard Armitage and Graham McTavish, who I've lavished on before, are being joined by none other than Peter Stormare and a slew of others. Like I said, I'm bad with names. I'm quite surprised that Hector and Isaac from Curse of Darkness are in this. If you don't know Curse of Darkness, it's one of the 3D ones that came out for the PlayStation 2, and no, they were not very good.
Hector! Is that you? I finally tracked you down. You tracked me down? I was the one who lured you here.
But I mentioned Peter Stormare. He's probably my favourite addition to this season, and the weirdest thing about him is that he's a serious unique character. So he's not appeared in any of the video games. He's just like, I am Godbrand, I am Peter Stormare, and I'm here to fucking make boats. Things like that. I had a lot of gripes with Season 1. None of them really noteworthy. Like, they were niggles. They were stuff that bothered me personally, but not something that would be a detriment to the enjoyment of an average, television or viewer. But one of them was that I wanted more creative monsters. I wanted more Castlevania influences in the beasts that appear in this series. Because in Season 1, a lot of them were like vaguely shadowy bat monsters, which was the most descriptive way I could bring it, because they all looked kind of the same, and they all did about the same, and it wasn't very, it didn't make me feel like Castlevania, because if there's anything about Castlevania ever since Symphony of the Night, is that the beings and the monsters inside the castle are so varied and so hugely creative. Even the platformers ones, they still had lots of mental designs, like giant eyeballs, paintings that could grab you, like literally grab you, and you're captured in the frame, and all sorts of madness. And what we were left with in Castlevania Season 1 was just, like I said, shadowy monsters. Not the biggest fan. Season 2 corrects this. Like, second episode in, we get some serious classics, and I'm not gonna say who. If you love the video game series as much as I do, or maybe even a smidgen of as much as I do, you're gonna love the creature designs in this season. From start to finish, I believe I even saw Malphus at one point, and Malphus is like a C-list boss somewhere along the lines. There's even one monster that I personally can't really place, and I don't think it was in any of the video games, but it has a great design. You'll see it. It's got something to do with bandages. Of course, these creatures are all made by Hector and Isaac. Like I said, they were from Curse of Darkness, and they are Devil Forge Masters. They basically make the monsters, and that gives us the reasoning why these monsters just exist the way they do in this Castlevania universe, which is, quite clever. And it made me think that their characterization is good, but Hector doesn't receive as much as Isaac does. And that made me think a little bit. Again, the emphasis is on character over story in this season. Season 1 had this as well, there wasn't like a lot of adventuring, not a lot of gallivanting about. And this season is again quite the same. It seems like they're not doing a lot, but before you suddenly realize it's over, it has been done with. It's only 8 episodes of another 20 minutes each, but by the time season 8 finishes, I'm wondering if there's gonna be like an actual season 3. They left us with hooks capable of being followed upon, like obviously like if there's gonna be a season 3, you know what they're gonna go with. But the story they've told, it's like what people expect from the Castlevania. Hero/heroes versus evil vampiric overlord. And without getting into spoilers, that doesn't leave us with anything left to be discovered in season 3. So what they're left with is, you know, the threads. You'll see the threads when you watch the season itself. It just felt a bit weird to me, like they spend about 6 episodes roughly, you know, doing nothing, preparing. Everybody's doing a lot of talking and preparing, and then all of a sudden, bam, whiz, bang, and we're done. Cool. I mean, I loved it. I loved it loads. But it just felt like, oh, well, that was sudden. Which kind of made me think like they took some time exploring characters in Hector and Isaac and Sifa and Trevor and Alucard and Dracula and Dracula's wife, Lisa. But they've shown us his war council. And like I mentioned before, Peter Stormare is in this, and he plays a character called Godbrand. But there's several other vampires in his war council as well. And they come from everywhere in the world. Like, you see an Asian lady, you see somebody who could either be Middle Eastern or, you know, South Asian. You've got a typical Western European knight fellow. And they get hugely creative designs, and they actually get in on the action, so you see them fight, mostly against villagers, but they don't talk. None of them speak a word, not even expressing pain or, you know, getting hit by something and going oof, which just makes them kind of really fancy red shirts. I would have liked to have at least, you know, getting some characterization from them, because everything we know of them is, you know, word of mouth. Oh, the War Council is distrusting of you. Oh, the War Council is arguing with one another, but we never actually see this happen. And one last thing I have to mention. I really like Castlevania's music, like the video game series. It is some of the most catchy and hummable tunes out there. Whoever wrote most of those, even starting back in the NES days, all the way up to one of the last DS games, some of those tracks are beautiful, they're insanely hummable, they get stuck in your head. Iron Blue Intention, Heart of Fire, Simon's Theme, all of these are so great and in a way timeless. But there's not much of it in here. There's only one song that's in here from a Castlevania game. And I feel like this has been intentional. I feel like they deprived us, or at least, you know, scarcely used this music, so that when they used it, it made fans of the video game series go like, I really like this song. And I'll freely admit, it worked. I was all but fist pumping. I don't actually fist pump because I can't pull that off. But when that song hits, in that scene, in that moment, in this season, I can't even tell anything else, but you will love it. If you know this song, if you know the games, you know you will, oh my god, it works. It worked. And if you are a channel mainstay, you know that I like a little bit of downtime after the whizzing and the banging and the popping. And this is what Castlevania does. The real climax of the series has already been towards the end of episode 7. So most of episode 8 is just recounting our losses, seeing how far we've been brought. And the characterization, I don't want to say it drove me, it made me sad. It did its job. Its intention was to make people sad, and it got me sad. Well done, Graham McTavish. You've made a grown man go, but I didn't. Right, I do apologise. So, Castlevania Season 2 is quite good. It's an improvement over Season 1 because Season 1's biggest problem was that it was too short. Season 2's 8 episodes of... It's fantastic. It's probably one of the best shows I've seen this year. If you haven't seen it yet and you're just watching my opinion about it, what's stopping you? Why are you even looking at me for? Go get Netflix, go watch Castlevania. It's worth it. Worth your time. Please. But so, you might obviously disagree. That's why God has invented the comment section. You can also subscribe so you can watch me talk to the camera a little bit more, but you know, watch how it goes with my weight loss, because you may not notice I'm still usually fat, but I'm less fat than I used to be, which makes me even more proud and secure about my opinions on the internet, because, you know, self-confidence is good. Bell's social medias, YouTube stuff, do what you want. See ya!